Ah, Switzerland, home to precision watches, stunning Alps, and tourist traps? You've heard about the fondue, the chocolate, the beautiful lakes, but what no one talks about are those sneaky ways your vacation budget could take a serious hit. You and I are walking these Zurich city streets, avoiding those overpriced restaurants, spotting the tourist scams, and navigating the famous Zurich lakes without falling into a trap. And stick with me because I'll reveal a place in Switzerland where even in the most expensive city, you can save a ton of money. Let's dive into Switzerland before it empties your wallet faster than a fondue pot on a cold winter's day. Now sure, Switzerland is known for its precision watches, but your wallet may not be ticking if you fall into these tourist traps. Right over there I spotted a taxi stand, and taxis can be very reliable to take you where you need to go, a certain point all around Switzerland. I find this to be the case, but they can be expensive and they can scam you, especially late at night with excessive rates, or the driver, when he takes you to your location, he takes a longer than necessary route to get there to charge you more money, more Swiss francs. So what I suggest is using ride-hail apps like Grab or Uber. That way you know the price before you take the ride. You can make the decision if it's worth your money to do the ride. Now, frankly, I think when you're here in Switzerland, and whether it's Zurich or anywhere in Switzerland, your best option, well, don't use a taxi or Uber. Rely on public transportation when you're here in Switzerland. They're so reliable, the prices are pretty darn low, and they're so damn clean and good. And not so much of a scam, but the way you're gonna lose a lot of your precious money when you're traveling in Switzerland is via parking. Don't waste your money on parking. And by that I mean, if you're planning a big Swiss holiday, well, rent your car when you're ready to hit those open, beautiful Swiss alpine roads. Don't rent your car when you know you're gonna be in a big city like Geneva or Zurich for multiple days, because you'll just rack up parking fees and it's not worth the hassle of finding parking. Instead, wait till you're ready to hit the open road, leaving the big cities, then rent your car. And while we're on the subject of four wheels and transportation, when you're driving on the highways in Switzerland, you're gonna notice there are not any toll booths. Well, Switzerland uses a sticker, a toll sticker, a vignette, so make sure you get it or you're gonna pay a hefty fine. You can buy it usually when you cross the border into Switzerland or at any of the gas station stops along the highway, but don't get caught without it. Switzerland, yeah, it's pretty pricey. Cities like Zurich and Geneva are known for their amazing quality of life, but with that comes a serious cost of living. This place is all about its iconic chocolate, cheesy fondue, the stunning Swiss Alps, and its independent streak. Staying out of the EU. Oh, and don't forget, it's home to one of the strongest currencies in the world, the Swiss franc. Switzerland's economy is strong, 20th place in the GDP rankings. Its minimum wage, an impressive $24 an hour. The landlocked country is positioned at the crossroads of Western, Central, and Southern Europe. Sounds ideal, right? But there's a catch. Most of the groceries have to be imported. Its food imports per capita are among the highest in the world due to its high population density and the relatively small available area for cultivation. And for us tourists, it's not great. When you're in a hotspot for visitors, prices naturally go up. It's simple. If tourists are willing to spend, why not charge them more? Switzerland is known for its world-class banks and world-class prices. Let's make sure your vacation doesn't break the bank. Avoid overpriced tourist restaurants. And by that I mean, avoid those places that offer a tourist menu because the standard of food there is not going to be the best. My advice to you is venture a few blocks out of the city centers in Zurich or Geneva where the standard of food is higher and you're gonna pay less money. In Zurich, don't eat around the Bahnhofstrasse or the city center, or the same in Geneva. If you wander around, you'll find better prices. Also, look up good deals on some of the websites and apps. Shout out to wonderlog.com and Eurocheapo. They got some pretty good listings on their websites where you can get cheap eats. That being said, my pro tip to you is venture around the country. Don't just stay in Geneva or Zurich. Get out there in the countryside, in the mountains. You're gonna find much better deals and beautiful scenery. And stick with me, because later I'll reveal a place in Switzerland where you can save money even in one of the most expensive cities. Avoid private tours. They can be overpriced, especially for what you're getting. And I'm talking about boat tours around Lake Zurich or tours within the center of Geneva. My pro tip to you is look for those free walking tours in any major city around the world. You get pretty cool guides, and at the end of the tour, you can always offer them a tip, and they're gonna love it. The other thing is look for public tours, because they come at a fraction of the cost and deliver just as much value. Look at this, all around Zurich, you can find free public fountains. Stick with me, because later on I'll show you how to avoid a common trap that could turn your Swiss vacation into a financial nightmare. Avoid those exchange rate booths at airports, train stations, or tourist-heavy hotels, because you're gonna find unfavorable exchange rates and a lot of service fees. Now, my tip to you is use the ATM machines, the ones that are associated with banks and post offices. You'll find those ATMs everywhere in the big cities like Interlaken, Geneva, and Zurich. When you're doing that, when you're getting your money out, don't accept their conversion. Instead, let your home bank do the conversion. Just take out your Swiss franc and you'll be fine. The other option is you can nearly use credit cards all around Switzerland, and I've been doing so on this trip. My only tip when you're doing that is be warned when they present you with the option to pay in your home currency, say US dollars or Swiss franc, choose Swiss franc, because there again, you don't want to let them do the conversion exchange rate for you. Your home bank will do that, and you're getting the perfect exchange rate doing so. Another thing to keep in mind, and I'm not even doing it on this trip, I don't like the way it rattles in my pocket, but have a few Swiss franc coins or Swiss bills on hand. So if you're at a place and they don't take credit cards and they say, well, we can let you pay in euro if you got euro, don't do that, because they'll give you a bad exchange rate. So carry a few Swiss francs, old school currency if you can. Even though you have to pay to pee in Switzerland, it is advanced enough where you can do so by credit card. In the Swiss cities, you're more likely to run into a bank than into a scammer, but that doesn't mean you won't overpay for Swiss chocolate. Avoid being scammed for those Swiss souvenirs sold at exuberant prices. And that means in the city centers, those famous souvenirs like Swiss Army knives, chocolate, or watches, they're overpriced. Don't buy them there. And do you remember when I said I have a tip for you on where you can get deals, save tons of money, even in the most expensive city in Switzerland? Well, my tip is go to a co-op grocery store or a Manor department store. There you're gonna find all those Swiss souvenirs at half the price. Also, if you're hungry, you can pick up a sandwich on the cheap at the co-op. Just remember, in Switzerland, don't pick up the Swiss chocolates or the army nut. Hey, we're in a train. I just love train stations, these old school European train stations. Just remember, in Switzerland, don't buy your souvenirs to take home in the city centers. You're gonna overpay. And if you like avoiding scams, well, click that thumbs up button right down below. And have you yet subscribed? I know a lot of you aren't yet subscribed. Subscribe, click that button below. By doing so, you're gonna make sure you don't miss out on any of the upcoming videos I have coming up here on the channel. Also, we're gonna make sure we get these videos out to a much wider audience of food and travel lovers like us. Do you remember I said I would explain how to avoid a common trap that could turn your Swiss vacation into a financial nightmare? Well, booking lodging at a hotel, it could leave you with little money to spend on Swiss chocolates, let alone survival beers. So how do you do it? How do you find a hotel, a capsule, or even a place with shared bathrooms? It's tricky and it's expensive in Switzerland. I'll give you that. There are some common things you need to watch out for. Hidden fees. Even though you see a price on a website, when you go to check out the next morning at the hotel, you may find that that's not the final price, that they have their fees added on to it. Don't get the sticker shock. Be ready. Also, city taxes. Yeah, they have them everywhere around Europe, and it's a pain in the neck. The city taxes are added on always at the end of the stay, and sometimes you even have to pay them in cash or with a separate charge, which is annoying. And in the big cities like Geneva and Zurich, the city taxes can be high. There's no avoiding those. And the other things that you always need to be aware of, like in any city, wherever you travel around the world, is breakfast included? Is it not included? Are there fees to use the sauna or pool if it has that, if you're staying in a luxury place? My advice to you is just do research, a lot of it, on websites like booking.com for hotels or on Airbnb for those apartments so you can live like a local in the city. But let's be honest, you're gonna pay a lot of money when you're booking hotels in Switzerland, and for sure in Zurich or Geneva. The old free Wi-Fi internet scam. Don't be fooled by that. Some places you'll see free Wi-Fi offered in cafes or restaurants, and you go to click in there and get on the internet and you find out you have to make a purchase or you need to pay something before you can get connected. Don't fall for that trap. My advice to you is ask a local or look around for a different spot. In a lot of the places in Switzerland, in the public squares or train stations, they'll offer free Wi-Fi so you can get connected for free. Just don't pay for it. If you're gonna be in Switzerland for a long amount of time and you don't wanna rely on just that internet at the hotel or those free public Wi-Fi spots, well, I suggest when you arrive at the airport or the train station on your first day, get a SIM card. There are 3 big Swiss companies that you can look for: Swisscom, Salt, or Sunrise. You can go in there and it's pretty cheap for a lot of data. I have unlimited gigabyte. I went with Sunrise and I didn't pay many Swiss francs. So just make sure you have a free SIM card slot in your phone and your phone is unlocked to use it. The other option that's come around in the last few years is eSIMs, and those are great because you can buy them in advance before you travel. Just make sure your phone is eSIM compatible and do your research in those few different companies that offer eSIMs, and then activate it right before, right when you get here to Switzerland. The pay to pee scam. Sorry, but when I travel through Switzerland driving at the rest stops, you gotta pay to use the bathroom there. It's crazy. You don't have that in other countries like Italy or France. And what I do is I pull over after I've gone to the rest stop to buy a coffee or something, and I pee off to the side by a tree in the grass. Hey, come on, you're making me pay to use the bathroom? Just doesn't make sense. Now, you're gonna find this when you're in the cities walking around. Those public restrooms, you have to pay to use them. So make sure you have some Swiss hard currency francs on hand, because you might need to drop some coins in the little machine to go through the turnstile there to get into the bathroom, and you don't want to be in a stressful situation and without coins. Now, as we've seen, a lot of them offer credit card options for payment now, contactless, so you just tap it and go on in. And I paid 150 Swiss franc to use the bathroom there. It's not great, but you don't want to get caught off guard. Just be prepared and ready to pay. A pro tip for you, and what I suggest, is go before you leave your hotel. Even if you don't think you have to go, take the time to go. When you sit down for a coffee or at a restaurant, before you leave, make sure to use their bathroom. Or what I did recently, taking the train through Switzerland, before you get off the train at your destination, go use their bathroom. All of those options are, you guessed it, free. Now, if you want something else that's free, you can sign up for my regular email newsletter with all sorts of travel tips and hacks, things like what we're talking about today in the video. There's a link to sign up in the description. Avoid overpriced boat tours on Lake Zurich. This applies specifically to Zurich, but you can think of this example how it could apply to other cities as well. Those boat tours, they may seem nice, but avoid those ones where they're pushed heavily in tourist areas. It's an overpriced experience, and what I recommend to you, a pro tip if you're in Zurich, is go with the Zurich Transportation Network boats. The ZVV on the website, you can look for ZVV. It offers the same sorts of tours and you see the same thing at a much lower price because they're essentially boat taxis that are taking people along the lake, but as you're doing that, you can get that great view and the great tour of Lake Zurich. And in Zurich, also staying in Zurich, is that you can do the tram rides along the lake, which is extremely beautiful. And again, it's a public transportation service, so you're not paying much at all for the ticket, but you're seeing the beautiful lakeside as you're on a tram, one of those classic trams going around Lake Zurich. Both options, the tram or the boat, are a great way to save your Swiss francs. Avoid the confusion and those overpriced transportation museum cards. In Zurich, they have the Zurich card, which lets you in on the transportation and get you into some select museums, but rarely I find that that's necessary. You're really paying too much for that card for what you're getting out of it. So I suggest to you is to look up just paying each time you use the public transportation system or going to the museum, and that applies in other cities like Interlaken and Geneva as well for their day passes, those cards. Look around and find the best bargains. In Zurich, you can use the day card or the weekly card, and you can find out all the information and pricing on that via that old website, zvv.ch. There you have it. Armed with these tips, you're able to avoid the tourist traps and make the most of your time here in Switzerland. And what about Europe's #1 overlooked richest nation? We'll find out here.